Hey guys, in this video I thought I would do something a little different. I'm actually out and about today. I was looking for a waterfall, never found it, but I did find a pretty cool lookout place. You can see it in the background here, and I'll show you more in a minute here. But I thought I would do a video about guys who say they're going to come out to the Philippines, never do, or maybe they just delay it and delay it and delay it. And in the meantime, they have a Filipina who they chat with, or maybe they're in a long distance relationship with. And at what point is it just a pipe dream? And at what point is it too long of a long distance relationship and you need to meet at some point? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Stick around. Okay guys, so I'm at this place. You can see it behind me here. And this is in Digos, which is right outside of Davao, probably about an hour or so. You can see the swimming pool behind me as well. I'm sitting out here in the hot sun. But before we start, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to a special, beautiful Filipina who watches my channel. And so this is for her. Anyway, back to what I was saying is, the whole reason I came up with this topic is I was in a forum in a group, and somebody had stated that they were in a relationship, or the Filipina said she was in a relationship for 6 years and has yet to meet the guy. And I'm just thinking, at what point is this just a pipe dream? Or at what point are you just leading a Filipina on? And in this video, I'm really kind of taking the defense of a Filipina and not really the Western guy, something a little different than I normally do. But 6 years just seems outrageous and just absolutely ridiculous to me. And I'm just thinking, somebody, of course, during the pandemic, I get you can't get to them. Everybody was forced into situations like that. But that's not the case anymore. The Philippines is now open. You can get here. And even prior, you know, you could have got out here. Now, for me personally, even when I came out here in 2015 for the first time, I was chatting with a Filipina. And even though it never turned into a relationship, I had went online with the intentions of meeting somebody and actually flying out within a few months to meet. Not chatting for years on end, which just seemed pointless to me. So I had chatted a few months, came out, actually showed her the ticket, said, "Hey, I'm for real. I'm not playing around. Here's my ticket. I'm arriving on this date. You know, we can meet and see if it works out." And that's the way I believe it should be. And I also want to talk about cost too. A lot of guys don't realize the cost. They think initially, okay, you know, I'll save up. I'll have enough money maybe to get out there and spend 3 weeks, you know, and save up the time, and you know, and they don't think beyond that, you know, because really there's two options. Either one, you're on a pension, or you know, Social Security, or you've saved up enough in a 401k or something where you have enough money to move out here and retire. Or two, you have to have some kind of a income coming in from the States or Australia or wherever, and the next option is basically bring them back to the US. Now, if you're younger than Social Security age, or you're not going to get a pension, then a lot of times a guy to come out here in the Philippines is just not an option, even though that's probably the best option and the easiest option for many and less expensive, because it's really, you could do a one-way trip and boom, you get married to a Filipina and you live your life. That's really the least expensive route you can go. Now, where I think a lot of guys make a mistake is if they're younger and they don't have a pension or something like that, they think they will come out here and meet a great girl, and they don't really think beyond that. They don't think of the costs involved. First of all, you have an expensive plane ticket and a trip and vacation time and everything you got to save up for the initial trip. Chances are you would probably make a second trip out. And if things go well, then you're going to want to bring her over on a fiance visa or marry here and then do a spousal visa, which also costs a lot of money. And we're talking about more plane tickets, you know, for her to come out, cost of wedding, cost of maybe an attorney, cost of, you know, maybe if she's a single mom, you got to bring her kid out, sending her money so she can take care of all the things that she needs to take care of. And I don't think a lot of guys ever think past that initial trip. And so for many of them, it really is just kind of a pipe dream. And I think this is where a lot of guys lead on a Filipina. You know, maybe they just never really have the money, or they're saving the money and something happens, a transmission goes in their car and boom, they've spent their money, you know, that they were saving to come out here to meet their girlfriend, a long distance relationship. Then all of a sudden they're spending the money on a new transmission, and now they're back to starting over again, saving up for the trip. Okay, which brings me to the point of the guy who has been chatting and in a long distance relationship with his Filipino girlfriend for 6 years. You know, 6 years and they still haven't met. I mean, where does it go? It just seems to me you're wasting this poor young girl's time, you know, where she could have met somebody who was interested and maybe had the means to actually come out here like within a reasonable time frame. I mean, 6 years and you haven't even made your initial visit. So this is where I would like to hear from you guys down in the comments. I mean, how much time is long enough before you actually come out here? You know, you start a long distance relationship with somebody online, and I'm not talking about the pandemic. Those were that's a special situation where, you know, it was out of everybody's control. We couldn't help but not be able to come out here. Some people jumped through hoops and everything and actually met in neutral countries or visa-free countries like Costa Rica and Brazil, Colombia, and other places. But what I'm talking about is pre-pandemic and now post-pandemic. I'd like to hear from you guys. For me personally, I think 0 to 3 months. When you start chatting with a girl and things start to get serious, you should really already be in the mindset. If you're going to get on the dating site, on a dating site, and you have the intentions of meeting a nice Filipina for a serious relationship, you should already be thinking, okay, if I meet somebody and things go good, I should be coming out there in 3 months, 6 months. But a guy who's hasn't even met in 6 years, I mean, and this is not uncommon. I've heard so many stories of girls who are in these long distance relationships, and the guy, oh, well, he was supposed to come in July, but he needed surgery, or he needed this, or he needed that. And, you know, it's just not uncommon to hear from these girls that years have gone by, you know. And I don't know if the guy is maybe sending a little bit of money, so maybe she feels a little obligated, or maybe she's kind of getting used to having that extra money each month, and maybe she's just afraid of losing that. I don't know. But again, this is where I would like to hear from you guys down in the comments. Again, for me, if I get onto a dating site, I'm already thinking ahead personally that, okay, if I find somebody and it appears to be serious, then my goal is probably to be out here in another 3 months or so. That's me personally. I could see even maybe up to 6 months or so to get to know each other really well. But when you hit a year, 2 years, to me, it just seems ridiculous. So what do you guys think? And this is not a video to insult anybody who's in a long distance and they haven't met and it's been 2 years. Listen, I get it. But if things are coming up where you don't even have the money to get out for your initial trip, and your goal is to have a serious relationship, possibly marriage, bring her back to your country, I mean, the initial trip is probably the least amount of money that you're going to be spending. Once you have to start sending her money to handle paperwork and stuff and get all her ducks in a row here, and then you need to get a ticket for her to come out, and you got to pay for visa fees, and you have to pay for a wedding, and you know, you got an extra mouth to feed. Maybe she's a single mom and she's got a kid, you know. There's all kinds of extra expenses, and I couldn't total it all up, but somebody could probably comment down below and tell me, based on their experience, how much it really cost to come out here, meet a great Filipina, and then finally end up bringing her back to your own country to marry? I'd actually like to hear that down below. I'll actually do a survey on the Geo and the Philippines community tab on what you guys think is a reasonable amount of time, and we'll look at that on my next live stream. Another thing I was going to talk about is ghosting. It seems to be really common, and this goes both ways. You meet a Filipina online, you think, oh wow, we got great chemistry. You guys are chatting for a few days, a week, 2 weeks, and boom, it just disappears, like blocks you or whatever. And vice versa. You know, a Filipina meets a nice Western guy, and all of a sudden he's gone in a week or 2 weeks or 6 months. It happens. I'd be interested to see how many that's actually happened to as well. But yeah, it happens quite a bit. The last thing I want to mention is if you do have plans on coming out to the Philippines within a reasonable time frame, now is probably the time to actually get on a dating site. And this is when I advocate actually a dating site. Normally I say boots on the ground type thing, but I'm gonna recoin that phrase, and I'm gonna say flip-flops on the ground or sandals on the ground, because right, we're not wearing boots out here in the Philippines. We're in sandals and flip-flops. So I think that's going to be my new term, is flip-flops on the ground or sandals on the ground. I think somebody had said that in the comments, and I thought it was pretty funny. So there's the new term, sandals on the ground out in the Philippines. And I think that's when you is a good time to actually get on a dating site, is when you know you are going to come out to the Philippines, you are ready to buy a ticket for a couple months out. That's when you get on a dating site and you meet somebody. And actually in the tab below, or in the description below, I have the top 3 that I recommend, including a up-and-coming new one that my friend actually started. And you can actually get a free month but putting in the promo code. I'll flash it up on the screen. And but now's the time to go ahead and get on and check that out. So anyway, this video is really more of a interactive video where I'd really like to hear from you guys in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys think and what your opinion is. I mean, how much money does it really take to come out here, find a great Filipina, maybe bring her back to your country to marry? That's kind of expensive. The least expensive route, if you have, and the best route would be actually just to come out here and live. Not everybody can do that though. Also, what is an appropriate amount of time to be in a serious relationship, long distance, online, and actually coming out to meet her? I mean, at what point is it just ridiculous? I mean, 6 years is obviously ridiculous. And just a big waste of time for him and for her, honestly. Probably more so for her, since she's in her younger, she's younger. I mean, what if she was 20 when they met and now she's 26? Or what if she's 25 and now she's 31? She's creeping out of her childbearing years, maybe, meanwhile, this guy's maybe in his 60s or something, and really not wasting a whole lot of his time, honestly. I mean, it is, but it's not as much as it is for a younger Filipina, in my opinion. So anyway, questions, comments, comment down below. Let's have that discussion. Thanks, guys. One more look at this beautiful scenery in the background. As much as I can, I'm really going to be doing videos when I have some kind of a talking video. I like to do it on a location outside someplace versus just sitting in my condo. Those type of videos, I really just want to a live stream, obviously in my condo, but any kind of other video, I like to be outside and show you something. And man, what a beautiful, fantastic day. This is in Digos. We went to find a waterfall, could not find it. Even the locals didn't know where it was, so finally gave up. But it was a beautiful, beautiful drive up in the mountains here in Digos, which is about an hour outside of Davao. So guys, if you're out in Davao, Digos, fantastic city. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.
I know you're on a roll, sweet honey. Let's take it.